Hey, today I'm going to be talking to you about terminology. I was asked by somebody on Tumblr a while ago to make a video about terminology relating to like sex, gender, trans, and sexual orientation because I think that I can probably explain it well. Okay. Also, I think this video could be informative for people who don't really know about some of these terminologies, so I think I'll clear up some myths or misinformation that the media kind of portrays. So let's talk about what is the definition of sex and gender. Are they the same thing? Absolutely not. In the most basic terms that I could literally ever explain it, sex is what's between your legs, gender is what's between your ears. Honestly, that's the most basic definition ever, but really the definition is that sex is the biological aspect, and gender is like the gender roles and the gender that you feel and portray in your everyday life. So for somebody, for example, this is the next definition, who is transsexual, they were born biologically female, okay, even though you're born a baby, obviously we're all born babies, they were assigned female at birth, and, their inner gender in their gender in their mind, and, their real gender is not corresponding with that female label that they were assigned at birth, so that makes them transsexual because they, I'm saying they, but I am one of these people, so this really gets categorized with gender dysphoria, oh man, which is like the worst thing in the world because, I mean, can you just imagine what that word means, gender dysphoria? Like you don't feel comfortable in your body, and you have dysphoria because it doesn't fit your gender. That's the easiest thing I could explain it as being. It's really a lot worse than that though, but let's not go into that. So basically, transsexual individuals usually go through medical and surgical intervention, not all, but let's say like a good amount, I guess, to reflect who they really are and how they actually see themselves. So that's basically the definition of transsexual in like the smallest that I could think about. The next term is transgender. Now there's a lot of debates within the community as to what this actually means, but I'm going to try to explain it to you. I'm going to take like an academic kind of spin on it because this is what I researched. Transgender is defined as an umbrella term where different labels and identities are under it. Such identities could be transsexual, could be under there. Non-binary, trans person would be under there, which I'll explain what that is after. Individuals who are genderqueer, anybody who really defies the binary and doesn't feel right in their body within that binary. And it's not somebody who's like a butch lesbian. That does not fit under the transgender umbrella at all. That's not what we're talking about here. We're really talking about like identity and like how somebody feels within their body under the umbrella. So a new term that's actually been popping up all over the internet community and live community and actually academia is trans with the asterisk, which is basically means that it's an inclusive term that includes people who are like genderqueer and non-binary. And the reason why this term was created, it was actually created by these trans individuals because they felt like they weren't included under the transgender label because people might have made them feel excluded or might not have put them in their definition. So that's basically what the trans with the asterisk means. It's just an all-inclusive term. I personally really love this all-inclusive term only because I think when we talk about trans rights and getting, not oppressed anymore, if that's a word, I think it's really important to have the trans asterisk as there because we're all really fighting for all the same thing. We just want equality and we want to be accepted, we want to be validated by society, and we want to be visible. And although every single trans person on this entire planet has a different experience, even transsexual has a different experience than somebody who's transsexual. We all have a different experience. I'm not saying that every person who is trans has the same experiences. That's why we should put them all under the trans asterisk umbrella. I think that everybody should fight for the same things, and although we all have different experiences, we're all fighting with oppression. With oppression? We're all oppressed. Whatever, what I'm trying to say. And we should be fighting. I think that trans as an asterisk is really a political identity, and I'm really enjoying that fact, and I really like to include it because I think, like I said, we're all fighting for the same thing. So trans asterisk is really an all-inclusive term. Now, where that's been like shooting off all over the internet and people think that it's really like oppressive and damaging is the word cis or cisgender. This is not an oppressive term whatsoever. It literally is from the science aspect of the world, and cis means stay on the same side, and literally trans means change sides. I am not even kidding you. That is the most simplest definition of cis. It is not meant as a derogatory term. It literally just means that you're not trans. It means that your assigned gender and sex at birth match your gender that you feel. That's it. Whereas trans people, it's different, right? So that's it. It's not. I've said that's it like 25 times. You know what I'm trying to say. I've also been throwing around the word like non-binary, which literally means you're not binary. Usually people who are trans go from one binary gender to another binary gender, usually. And non-binary individuals feel like they're either not part of any gender binary, they mess up the gender binary, they feel like two genders, no genders, one gender, 8 genders, something like that. And that's basically what that is. And genderqueer individuals feel like they're either no gender or two gender, or you know what I'm trying to say. Like it's very variant, which is very great. And that's what non-binary is. So I'm really done with talking about like gender stuff. So I'm going to talk about sexual orientation now. The term LGBT, which stands for lesbians, gays, bisexual, and transgender. Okay, so this is like the term that people talk about within sexual orientations. I want to disclaimer this as much as I can. Transgender, or the T in LGBT, is not a sexual orientation at all. It's a gender identity, it's a label, it has nothing to do with your sexual attraction, because even if you're a female to male transgender individual, you can still like men and then you'd be gay. Do you know what I'm trying to say? If you don't really understand that, I made a video about sexualities somewhere. So lesbian, women who love women, gay, men who are attracted to men, and bisexual. Now there's a position here that I'm going to talk about, and I'm not trying to put in my view at all. It's the position of bisexual versus like pansexual. So bisexual is individuals who are attracted to the two genders, and from what I've heard, it does not matter if they are trans or cis. Now people disagree with that, and some people say that bisexual is only like cis people, and that's rude. Look, I'm just telling you the facts from what I know from the internets. Whereas pansexual individuals are attracted to men, women, trans, even if they're trans or cis, or individuals who are non-binary, genderqueer. No matter what, you're attracted to the person regardless of their gender identity or expression, it doesn't matter. But I've also heard that people who are bisexual would also date individuals who are like non-binary, but there's been debates. I'm not here to tell you which one is right, which one is wrong. That's it. The term asexuality has also been thrown around a lot, which is great because I feel like a lot of visibility for asexual people is important, so we can know what asexuality is. I made a video, check that box right there, because that's where it is. And basically, asexual individuals are people who have no sexual arousal or attraction to anybody. It can also be seen as a sexual orientation. If you take it that way from the definitions that I've seen online, I am not asexual, so I cannot speak to the experiences of asexual individuals, but I did make a video about it. I don't know why, somebody asked me to, so it's there. Now the last term, which wasn't mentioned on the terms that I should talk about, is the word queer. Now, like I said, I'm very entrenched into this whole trans and queer studies. I have a whole bunch of readers and maybe a pile of this book times 2. So I'm going to tell you that from everything that I've read, there's absolutely no one definition of the word queer, which is why I love it so much, because people can interpret it as however they want. I myself identify as queer, and I'll tell you my definition of my personal experiences. Like I said, everybody has a different one. Mine's really like a political identity, because if you're an individual who is heterosexual and you are in your heteronormative bubble, therefore your reality and everything around you is constructed on you being heterosexual, and that's how you view life, and you don't go out that bubble, and you meet me, and I'm very feminine. I talk about musicals, I wear colors that are not feminine in your eyes, whatever, you'll think I'm gay. And I know this because it happens all the time. And when I see that you think I'm gay, I tell you that I have a girlfriend. And you don't believe me. But I'm sorry, these two people in this picture love each other. Look at that face. You can't make this face if you don't love each other. So when I tell them I have a girlfriend, it messes with their whole view of life, which is amazing. And then I like to tack it on even more, just because I like to fuck with people. I'm bad like that, I'm sorry. I tell them that I'm queer. And then they just get all confused and they don't understand what life is. And I really like doing that. And that's my political view on it, because I think that people really need to get out of the comfort level and get out of their heteronormative society that we live in. And I don't like this society where people who are queer or identify as something other than straight, which is usually what the word queer means for a lot of people. I just think people need to get out of their bubble a little bit and understand. I mean, you can stay straight, that's cool, like, I don't care. Like, you're attracted to who you're attracted to, you're not going to help that, but or change that, but I think that it's cool if you get out of your bubble and you, like, start to understand things and not question, you know, everything. I mean, even lesbians have thought that I'm gay. When I tell them I have a girlfriend, they get all confused. Like, really? Like, come on. Anyways, that's it. That's my video on terms and terminology. If you have any questions, you can absolutely ask them to me, and if you have a problem with the definitions, let's talk about it.